Buying a bigger camper van can quietly drain over $70,000 from you in 5 years, and most people don't realize it until they try to sell. I'm talking total cost of ownership, not just the sticker price, because here's what nobody tells you when you're choosing between a Mercedes Sprinter 144 and a Sprinter 170, or a Ram ProMaster 1500 versus a 3500. The size you pick will determine how much money bleeds out of your account every single month for fuel, insurance, maintenance, and depreciation. Today, I'm breaking down the real numbers on small versus large camper vans in 2026, so you don't make a $70,000 mistake based on YouTube van tours that make everything look perfect. I've helped buyers compare real ownership costs across Sprinter, Transit, and ProMaster platforms. Not tour vans, not Instagram builds, actual ownership math. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which size makes financial sense for your situation, which hidden costs will destroy your budget, and why one of these options is a trap for retirees and families who think bigger is always better. Section 1. The sticker price lie. Let's start with the obvious, purchase price. A small camper van, think Winnebago Solis, Storyteller Overland LT, or a DIY build on a Ford Transit 148-inch wheelbase, typically runs between $70,000 and $110,000 new in 2026, sometimes less if you're buying used or doing a partial self-build. A large camper van, Winnebago Revel, Airstream Rangeline, or a custom 170-inch extended Sprinter starts at $150,000 and easily hits $200,000 with decent build quality. So right there, you're looking at a $40,000 to $90,000 gap just to drive it off the lot. But here's where people screw up. They think that's the only difference. It's not. Because let me ask you this, how much are you actually planning to drive? If you're doing full-time van life, or you're a retiree planning to cover 15,000 to 20,000 miles a year exploring North America or Europe, fuel costs will make you regret buying the bigger van. Here's the math. A small camper van, like a ProMaster 1500 or a Transit 148, gets around 16 to 18 mpg on average. A large extended van, you're looking at 12 to 14 mpg. Real-world driving with gear, solar panels, and a roof rack, even less. Let's say diesel is averaging $4 a gallon in the US, or €1.80 per liter in Europe in 2026. 20,000 miles in a small van at 17 mpg equals 1,176 gallons, equals $4,704 per year. 20,000 miles in a large van at 13 mpg equals 1,538 gallons, equals $6,152 per year. That's $1,448 more per year just in fuel. Over 5 years, $7,240. And if diesel spikes to $5 a gallon, which it did in 2022, you're adding another $1,800 per year. Section 2. Insurance and registration. Now let's talk about insurance and registration, because this is where size really starts to hurt. Insurance companies don't just look at the value of your van, they look at weight class, collision risk, and liability exposure. A small camper van under 10,000 pounds GWIR is often classified as a standard van or light RV. Insurance typically runs $1,200 to $2,000 per year depending on your state or country. A large camper van over 10,000 pounds, you're now in a different weight class. Some insurers treat it like a Class B plus or even a Class C. You're looking at $2,200 to $3,500 per year. That's an extra $1,000 to $1,500 annually. Over 5 years, that's $5,000 to $7,500 more. And registration fees? In states like California, Oregon, and Washington, fees are based on weight and value. A large van can cost $300 to $600 more per year just to keep legal. Added up, you're now at $13,000 to $15,000 in extra costs over 5 years, and we haven't even talked about maintenance yet. Here's something most van lifers won't tell you because they're still in the honeymoon phase with their rig. Bigger vans break more expensive. Tires for a Sprinter 170 or ProMaster 3500, you're running 6 tires instead of 4 on some models, and they're bigger, heavier duty, and cost $250 to $400 each. A full set replacement every 40,000 miles, that's $1,500 to $2,400 versus $800 to $1,200 for a small van. Brake jobs? More weight means more wear. Expect to pay $800 to $1,200 for a large van versus $500 to $700 for a small van. And if you're running a diesel engine, which most large vans do, you're looking at DEF fluid, particulate filter replacements, and higher oil change costs. Diesel maintenance runs 20 to 30% more expensive than gas over the life of the vehicle. Let's conservatively estimate an extra $800 per year in maintenance for the larger van. Over 5 years, that's another $4,000. Now here's the part that'll make some people mad, but it's true. Large custom camper vans depreciate faster than small ones. This isn't about brand quality, it's about resale math. The market for a $180,000 Airstream Rangeline or a $200,000 custom Sprinter is tiny. You're selling to a very niche buyer who has the cash, wants that exact layout, and is willing to pay near retail for a used rig. Small vans, way more buyers. Retirees, weekend warriors, single travelers, couples. The resale market is bigger, which means your van holds value better. A small van might lose 30 to 35% of its value in 5 years. A large van, you're looking at 40 to 50% depending on the build and brand. Buy a $100,000 small van, sell it for $65,000 after 5 years, $35,000 depreciation. Buy a $180,000 large van, sell it for $90,000 after 5 years, $90,000 depreciation. That's a $55,000 swing in your net wealth. The more custom and expensive the build, the smaller your resale audience. And that's basic market economics, not opinion. Section 4. Where size actually matters. Okay, so does that mean everyone should buy small? No. Here's where a large van makes sense. If you're a family of 4 or more, a small van is torture. You need the space. A Sprinter 170 or extended transit gives you a real bathroom, bunk beds, and enough storage so you're not living in chaos. If you're planning to stay parked 80% of the time, like you're a retiree who plans to drive to a spot and stay for weeks, the fuel penalty doesn't matter. You'll care way more about comfort, and a larger van gives you that. If you have mobility issues or need accessibility features, a large van with a wheelchair lift, wider aisles, and a wet bath isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. But here's the reality most people ignore. If you're a couple or solo, or you're planning to move frequently and explore, a small van will save you tens of thousands of dollars, fit in more places, handle better, and cause you way less stress in cities, parking lots, and narrow European streets. So let's add it all up. Over 5 years of ownership, extra fuel, $7,000 to $9,000. Extra insurance and registration, $6,000 to $8,000. Extra maintenance, $4,000. Extra depreciation, $55,000. Total extra cost of a large van is $72,000 to $76,000. That's not a typo. Now, if you need the space, that's a cost you accept. But if you're buying a large van because you think you might need it, or because it looks cooler in photos, or because some influencer made it seem aspirational, you're lighting money on fire. Here's my take. For 90% of buyers, especially retirees and couples, a small to mid-size camper van is the smarter financial move. You'll have more money for travel, less stress on the road, and better resale value when you're done. Large vans make sense for families, accessibility needs, or people who prioritize space over mobility. But if you're buying a large van without a clear, unavoidable reason, family size, accessibility, or long-term stationary living, you are not upgrading your life, you're upgrading your expenses. And most people only understand that when they're staring at a resale listing that won't move. Be honest, small van or large van, and what fear is actually driving your decision? Feeling cramped or losing money later? Drop a comment.